Trans man thrown out by security, then Arnold Schwarzenegger teaches them a lesson. How will this story escalate? To find out, watch the video to the end. But first, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to get more stories like this. The mall was bustling with activity on a sunny Saturday afternoon. Families strolled through the brightly lit corridors, children tugged at their parents' hands, and the smell of freshly baked pretzels wafted through the air. Among the crowd was Alex, a young man in his mid-20s with neatly combed hair and a crisp blazer. He clutched a folder containing his resume, his heart pounding with both nerves and excitement. Alex had been preparing for this day for weeks. The job interview at one of the mall's high-end boutiques was an opportunity he couldn't afford to miss. It wasn't just about the job, it was about proving to himself and others that he could succeed, despite the challenges he had faced as a transgender man. As Alex walked toward the boutique, he couldn't help but notice a security guard watching him. The guard, a burly man with a stern expression, seemed to zero in on Alex, his gaze lingering uncomfortably long. "Hey, you," the guard called out, stepping into Alex's path. Alex froze, startled. "Yes," he replied cautiously. The guard looked him up and down, his face twisting into a scowl. "What are you doing here?" "I have a job interview," Alex said, holding up his folder as proof. The guard snorted, crossing his arms. "You don't belong here." Alex's heart sank. He had encountered prejudice before, but the guard's tone and the stares from nearby shoppers made this moment particularly humiliating. "I'm not causing any trouble," Alex said, trying to keep his voice steady. "I'm just here for an interview." The guard took a step closer, his imposing figure looming over Alex. "Don't lie to me," he said. "I've been watching you. You're making people uncomfortable." Alex's cheeks flushed with a mix of anger and embarrassment. "I'm not making anyone uncomfortable," he said. "I haven't done anything wrong." But the guard wasn't listening. He grabbed Alex's arm, ignoring his protests, and began dragging him toward the mall's exit. The commotion drew the attention of nearby shoppers, some of whom stopped to watch, their expressions ranging from concern to indifference. "Please let me go," Alex pleaded, his voice breaking. "You're making a mistake," the guard scoffed. "The only mistake was letting you in here in the first place." As Alex was pushed out of the mall, he stumbled and nearly dropped his folder. Tears stung his eyes as he tried to collect himself. The humiliation was overwhelming, and the realization that he might miss his interview only added to his despair. He sat on a bench outside the mall, burying his face in his hands. The weight of the injustice he had just experienced pressed down on him, making it hard to breathe. For a moment, he felt utterly defeated. Then, a deep voice broke through the haze of his thoughts. "Hey, are you okay?" Alex looked up to see a tall man with a kind yet commanding presence standing before him. His rugged face was instantly recognizable, Arnold Schwarzenegger. "Why?" Alex stammered, his voice trailing off. Arnold offered a small smile and sat down beside him. "Yes, I'm Arnold," he said. "But right now, I'm just someone who wants to help. I saw what happened in there. That was wrong." Alex hesitated, unsure of how to respond. "It's nothing," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "I'm used to it." Arnold's expression softened, but there was a flicker of anger in his eyes. "No one should have to get used to being treated like that," he said firmly. "Tell me what happened." As Alex recounted the incident, his voice trembling with emotion, Arnold listened intently. He didn't interrupt or rush him, he simply let Alex share his story. When Alex finished, Arnold placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "You didn't deserve that," he said. "And we're going to do something about it?" Alex blinked, his tears momentarily forgotten. Yes," Arnold said, his voice filled with determination. "You and me. We're going back in there, and we're going to make sure they understand the mistake they made." Alex looked at Arnold, a mix of disbelief and apprehension on his face. "Go back in there? Are you serious?" he asked, his voice tinged with doubt. "After everything that just happened? They won't listen." Arnold's expression remained calm but resolute. "That's exactly why we need to go back," he said. "If we don't stand up to this kind of behavior, it'll keep happening. You deserve to be treated with respect, Alex. And I'm here to make sure they understand that." Alex hesitated, the weight of the humiliation still fresh in his mind. But Arnold's unwavering confidence gave him a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, things could be different if someone like Arnold was by his side. Okay, Alex said finally, taking a deep breath. Let's do it. Arnold smiled and stood, extending a hand to Alex. That's the spirit, he said. Come on. Let's show them what standing up for yourself looks like. The two of them walked back toward the mall entrance, their presence immediately drawing attention. Shoppers who had witnessed the earlier incident whispered among themselves, their eyes widening as they recognized Arnold. The security guard from before spotted them as well, his expression shifting from surprise to annoyance. You again, the guard barked, stepping forward to block their path. I thought I told you to leave. Arnold raised a hand, his calm yet authoritative demeanor silencing the guard. And I thought this mall was supposed to be a place for everyone, he said. You've made it clear that you don't understand what that means, so we're here to help you learn. The guard sneered, his bravado faltering slightly under Arnold's steady gaze. This has nothing to do with you, he said. Stay out of it. Arnold took a step closer, towering over the guard. It has everything to do with me when I see someone being treated unfairly, he said firmly. Now, you're going to listen to Alex, and you're going to explain why you thought it was acceptable to humiliate him. The guard glanced around nervously, realizing that a crowd was beginning to gather. Still, he crossed his arms and tried to maintain his composure. I was just doing my job, he muttered. He didn't look like he belonged here. Arnold's eyes narrowed. And what exactly does belonging look like to you? He asked. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you judged Alex based on nothing but your own biases. The guard opened his mouth to respond, but Arnold wasn't finished. Do you know how much courage it took for him to come here today? He had a job interview, an opportunity to better himself. And you decided to ruin that because you couldn't see past your own assumptions? The guard shifted uncomfortably, the murmurs from the growing crowd adding to his unease. Alex watched the exchange with a mix of awe and gratitude, his confidence slowly returning as Arnold stood up for him. By this point, the commotion had drawn the attention of the mall's management. A middle-aged woman in a crisp suit approached, her heels clicking against the tile floor. What's going on here? She demanded, her eyes darting between Arnold, Alex, and the security guard. Arnold turned to her, his expression serious. What's going on, he said, is that your security guard decided to harass and humiliate this young man for no reason. And instead of addressing the issue, he's trying to brush it off. The manager frowned, her gaze softening as she looked at Alex. Is this true? She asked. Alex nodded, his voice steady but tinged with emotion. I was here for a job interview, he said. But the moment he saw me, he treated me like I didn't belong. He didn't even give me a chance to explain. The manager's face tightened with concern. I'm so sorry this happened, she said. This isn't how we treat people here. Arnold folded his arms. It shouldn't be, he said. But apologies aren't enough. What are you going to do to make sure this doesn't happen again? The manager glanced at the security guard, who looked increasingly uncomfortable under the scrutiny. We take incidents like this very seriously, she said. I'll be reviewing the matter personally and taking appropriate action. Arnold nodded but didn't back down. That's a start, he said. But it's not enough. This isn't just about one guard, it's about the culture you're creating here. What steps are you taking to ensure your staff understands the importance of respect and inclusion? The manager hesitated, clearly unprepared for such a direct challenge. We do have training programs in place, she said. But I admit we could do more. You should, Arnold said firmly. Because the harm done today isn't just about Alex. It's about every person who walks through these doors and deserves to feel welcome. The crowd murmured in agreement, the weight of Arnold's words resonating with everyone present. The manager straightened, her expression resolute. You're absolutely right, she said. We'll be implementing additional training for all staff, effective immediately. Arnold nodded, satisfied. Good, he said. But before we leave, there's one more thing I want to make clear. He turned to the security guard, his gaze piercing. You owe Alex an apology, he said. Not because I'm telling you to, but because it's the right thing to do. The guard hesitated, his pride clearly warring with his conscience. Finally, he looked at Alex, his shoulders slumping slightly. "I'm sorry," he muttered. "I shouldn't have treated you that way." Alex met his gaze, his own expression a mix of relief and determination. "Thank you," he said simply. "I hope you'll think twice before doing something like that again." The crowd began to disperse, the tension in the air giving way to a sense of resolution. As Alex and Arnold walked away from the scene, Alex felt a weight lift from his shoulders. For the first time in a long time, he felt seen and supported. "Thank you," he said, turning to Arnold. "I don't know what I would have done without you." Arnold smiled, placing a hand on Alex's shoulder. "You stood up for yourself today," he said. "That's what matters. I just gave you a little push." Alex nodded, his confidence growing with each step they took. "I don't know how to repay you," he said. "You don't need to," Arnold replied. "Just promise me one thing. Never let anyone make you feel like you don't belong. You have every right to be here, to be anywhere." After leaving the scene of the confrontation, Alex and Arnold sat down on a bench just outside the mall. The afternoon sun bathed the area in a warm glow, but Alex's thoughts still swirled with the emotions of what had just transpired. "I can't believe that happened," Alex said quietly, staring at his hands. "I've dealt with ignorance before, but this was something else." Arnold looked at him with a mixture of compassion and determination. "Unfortunately, situations like this are all too common," he said. "But what matters is how we respond. Today, you took the first step towards standing up for yourself, and that's a big deal." Alex sighed, his shoulders still tense. "It just feels so exhausting sometimes. Like no matter how hard I try, there's always someone waiting to knock me down." Arnold placed a reassuring hand on Alex's shoulder. "I understand," he said, "but you have to remember, you're not alone. People like that security guard act out of fear and ignorance. It's up to people like us to show them a better way." The conversation seemed to calm Alex, but he couldn't shake the lingering frustration. "Do you think he'll actually change?" Alex asked. "Or was that apology just for show?" Arnold thought for a moment before answering. "Change doesn't happen overnight," he said. "But sometimes, a moment like this can plant a seed. It's up to him to nurture it, but at least now he's been forced to confront his actions. And the mall management seems committed to making changes, which is a good sign." Alex nodded slowly, the weight of the day beginning to lift. "I just want people to see me for who I am," he said. "Not who they think I'm supposed to be." "They will," Arnold said firmly. "But you have to keep being true to yourself. And when you encounter people who try to tear you down, you stand tall and show them that their opinions don't define you." A few days later, Alex received a surprising phone call from the mall manager, the same woman who had promised to take action after the incident. She invited Alex to return to the mall for a meeting with the management team and staff. They wanted to formally apologize and discuss the steps they were taking to prevent similar incidents in the future. Alex hesitated at first. The thought of walking back into that mall was daunting, but he also recognized the importance of this opportunity. With Arnold's encouragement, he agreed to attend. When Alex arrived at the mall, Arnold was waiting for him near the entrance. "You ready?" Arnold asked, his tone supportive. Alex took a deep breath and nodded. "Ready as I'll ever be." The meeting was held in a conference room near the mall's management offices. Alex and Arnold were greeted warmly by the manager, who seemed genuinely contrite. The security guard from the incident was also present, looking visibly nervous. "Thank you for coming, Alex," the manager began. "First and foremost, I want to apologize again for what happened. It was unacceptable, and it doesn't reflect the values we want this mall to represent." Alex nodded, appreciating her sincerity but remaining cautious. "Thank you for saying that," he replied. "I hope this is the start of real change." The manager gestured to the security guard. "As part of our commitment to addressing this issue, we've asked every staff member to undergo inclusivity and sensitivity training. And that includes our security team." The guard shifted in his seat, clearing his throat. "I just want to say I'm sorry," he said, his voice quieter than Alex had expected. "I didn't think about how my actions might affect you. I was wrong." Alex studied the guard for a moment, searching for any signs of insincerity. But the man's expression seemed earnest, and Alex decided to take him at his word. I appreciate that, Alex said. But an apology is just the beginning. What really matters is how you treat people moving forward. The guard nodded, his gaze dropping to the table. I understand. The manager continued, outlining the steps the mall was taking to foster a more inclusive environment. This included mandatory training sessions, a review of their policies, and the creation of a community advisory board to address ongoing concerns. Arnold leaned forward, his voice calm but firm. These are good steps, he said. But remember, actions speak louder than words. It's not enough to have policies on paper, you need to live them every day. After the meeting, Alex and Arnold walked through the mall together. For the first time since the incident, Alex felt a sense of belonging rather than dread. Several staff members approached him to offer their apologies and support, and he could sense that the atmosphere was beginning to shift. Feels different now, doesn't it? Arnold asked as they passed by the boutique where Alex had originally been headed for his interview. Alex nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. It does. It's not perfect, but it's a start. Arnold clapped him on the back. That's all we can ask for. Change takes time, but every step forward counts. In the weeks that followed, Alex continued to stay involved with the mall's inclusivity efforts. He attended the training sessions as a guest speaker, sharing his story with staff and helping them understand the importance of respect and empathy. His courage and vulnerability inspired others to reflect on their own biases and behaviors. Arnold, true to his word, remained a steady source of support. He accompanied Alex to events, introduced him to advocates and community leaders, and even helped him prepare for the job interviews he had lined up. Their unlikely friendship became a source of strength for both of them. You know, Alex said one day as they sat together at a local cafe, I never thought I'd be friends with someone like you. Arnold raised an eyebrow, a playful smirk on his face. What do you mean, someone like me? Alex laughed. I mean a movie star, a bodybuilder, a former governor. You're basically a real-life superhero. Arnold chuckled, shaking his head. I'm just a guy who believes in doing the right thing, he said. And so are you. As Alex's confidence grew, so did his determination to make a difference. He began volunteering with local LGBTQ+ organizations, using his experiences to advocate for change on a larger scale. His voice, once timid and uncertain, now carried strength and conviction. One evening, after a successful event at the mall, Alex stood on a stage in front of a crowd of shoppers, staff, and community members. He looked out at the faces before him, many of whom had been part of the journey toward change. None of us are perfect, Alex said, his voice steady. But what matters is that we're willing to learn and grow. Today, this mall is a better place than it was a few weeks ago, not because the problems disappeared, but because we faced them head-on. The crowd erupted in applause, the sound filling the space with hope and unity. Arnold stood in the back, clapping along with everyone else, a proud smile on his face. The applause from the crowd lingered in Alex's mind long after the event ended. For the first time in his life, he felt like his voice truly mattered, like his experiences could spark real change. As he stepped down from the stage, a few people approached him, their faces filled with admiration. Thank you for sharing your story, a young woman said, her eyes glistening. It's so inspiring to see someone stand up for themselves and make a difference. Alex smiled, humbled by her words. Thank you for listening, he replied. That's where it all starts. With people willing to listen and learn. Arnold joined Alex shortly after, his towering presence as comforting as ever. You did great up there, he said, clapping Alex on the back. You've got a gift for connecting with people. Alex chuckled, still adjusting to the idea of being a public speaker. I never thought I'd be doing something like this, he admitted. A few weeks ago, I couldn't even stand up for myself. And now you're standing up for others, Arnold said with a grin. That's what growth looks like. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity for Alex. The mall's inclusivity training sessions were in full swing, and Alex was a key part of them. Each session brought new challenges. Sometimes, staff members were resistant to change, their biases deeply ingrained. But Alex approached every interaction with patience and understanding, determined to make a difference. During one session, a particularly skeptical security guard crossed his arms and leaned back in his chair. "Why do we have to do this?" he asked, his tone defensive. "I've been doing my job just fine for years." Alex took a deep breath before responding. "I get it," he said. "Change can be uncomfortable. But think about it this way. How many people have you encountered in your job who were just like me? People you might not have understood right away." The guard frowned, clearly caught off guard by the question. "I don't know," he admitted. "Maybe a few." "And how do you think they felt walking away from those encounters?" Alex pressed gently. "Did they feel respected? Safe? Or did they feel judged?" The room fell silent as the guard considered Alex's words. Finally he sighed. "I guess I never really thought about it like that. That's what this training is about," Alex said. "It's not about blaming anyone. It's about helping all of us do better." Moments like these reminded Alex of why he had chosen to stay involved. The progress was slow at times, but each breakthrough, each moment of understanding, felt like a victory. Arnold continued to be a constant presence, offering guidance and encouragement whenever Alex needed it. One evening, as they sat in Arnold's car after a particularly long day, Alex turned to him with a thoughtful expression. "Why do you do this?" Alex asked. "You don't have to get involved in things like this. You could just live your life and not worry about it." Arnold smiled, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Because I've been in situations where people stood up for me," he said. "When I first came to America, I faced my own challenges, people who didn't believe in me, who thought I didn't belong. But I had mentors and friends who believed in me, who helped me see my worth. Now, it's my turn to do that for others." Alex nodded, his respect for Arnold growing even deeper. "You're a good man," he said simply. Arnold chuckled. "I try to be." As Alex grew more comfortable in his role as an advocate, he began to dream bigger. He wanted to take the lessons he'd learned and share them with a wider audience, to inspire change beyond the walls of the mall. One day, during a meeting with the mall management, Alex brought up an idea. "What if we held a community event?" he suggested. "Something that brings everyone together to celebrate diversity and inclusion." The manager's eyes lit up. "That's a wonderful idea," she said. "We could have guest speakers, performances, and activities for families. And food," Arnold added with a grin. "You can't have a good event without food." The group laughed, the tension of the past few weeks giving way to a sense of shared purpose. Plans for the event began to take shape, with Alex and Arnold taking the lead. The day of the event arrived, and the mall was transformed into a vibrant hub of activity. Colorful banners hung from the ceilings, booths lined the corridors, and a stage was set up in the main atrium. The atmosphere buzzed with excitement as people from all walks of life came together to celebrate. Alex stood near the stage, his heart pounding with a mix of nerves and anticipation. He had prepared a speech for the event, but the weight of the moment felt overwhelming. "You've got this," Arnold said, appearing at his side. "Just speak from the heart. That's all you need to do." Alex nodded, taking a deep breath. When it was his turn to speak, he stepped onto the stage, the microphone feeling heavy in his hands. "Good afternoon, everyone," Alex began, his voice steady despite the butterflies in his stomach. "Thank you all for being here today. This event isn't just about celebrating diversity, it's about acknowledging the work we still need to do to create a world where everyone feels valued." He paused, his gaze sweeping over the crowd. "A few weeks ago, I was thrown out of this very mall because someone didn't see me for who I am. That moment was painful, but it also sparked something inside me. It reminded me that we can't let ignorance and fear define our lives." The crowd was silent, hanging on his every word. Alex continued, his confidence growing with each sentence. "We all have biases, we're all human. But what matters is how we choose to confront them. Do we let them control us, or do we rise above them?" He looked over at Arnold, who gave him an encouraging nod. "Today, I stand here not as a victim, but as someone who believes in the power of change. And I hope that together, we can keep pushing for a world where respect and understanding are the norm, not the exception." The crowd erupted into applause, the sound filling the atrium with a sense of hope and unity. Alex stepped off the stage, his heart racing but his spirit soaring. As the event wound down, Alex and Arnold stood together, watching as families laughed and mingled, their differences fading into the background. It was a moment of pure connection, a glimpse of the world they were striving to create. "You did good today," Arnold said, his voice filled with pride. "Really good," Alex smiled, feeling a warmth he hadn't known in a long time. "So did you," he replied. "None of this would have happened without you." Arnold shook his head. "This is your journey, Alex. I'm just here to walk alongside you." As the final attendees of the community event began to filter out of the mall, Alex stood near the stage, soaking in the moment. The day had been a success beyond what he could have imagined. Conversations were sparked, connections were made, and for the first time, Alex truly felt like he was making an impact. Arnold approached him, a bottle of water in hand. "You should be proud of yourself," he said, offering the bottle. "You didn't just speak, you inspired people." Alex took the water and smiled, his gratitude shining through. "I couldn't have done it without your support," he admitted. "You've been there for me every step of the way." Arnold shrugged, his demeanor casual. "Sometimes, all it takes is someone to believe in you," he said. "The rest? That was all you." The conversation was interrupted by the mall manager, who approached with a wide smile. "Alex, Arnold, thank you both for today," she said. "This event has brought so much positivity to the mall. We've already had people asking if we'll make it an annual thing." Alex's eyes widened. "An annual event?" he asked, surprised. "Why not?" the manager replied. "You've created something special here. I think it has the potential to grow." Arnold clapped Alex on the back. "Looks like you're in charge of next year's event," he teased, earning a laugh from Alex. Over the next few weeks, Alex's life began to change in ways he never expected. His story and the success of the community event caught the attention of local media, and he was invited to share his journey on a popular talk show. At first, the idea of speaking in front of an even larger audience intimidated him, but Arnold's encouragement gave him the push he needed. "Just be yourself," Arnold told him before the show. "Speak from the heart, and everything else will fall into place." The talk show appearance was a turning point for Alex. Sitting under the bright studio lights, he recounted the incident at the mall, the support he received from Arnold, and the journey of growth that followed. His authenticity resonated with viewers, and the episode went viral, sparking conversations about inclusion and respect across social media. Messages began pouring in, some from people sharing their own experiences of discrimination, others thanking Alex for his bravery. Each message reminded Alex of why he had chosen to step into the spotlight, to make a difference. One message, in particular, stood out. It was from a young trans man named Leo, who had been struggling with acceptance in his own life. "Seeing you stand up for yourself and others gave me the courage to do the same," the message read. "Thank you for showing me that it's okay to be who I am." Alex felt a lump in his throat as he read Leo's words. He replied immediately, offering words of encouragement and letting Leo know that he wasn't alone. The exchange reminded Alex of how far he had come and how important it was to continue using his voice. Arnold noticed the shift in Alex. The once timid young man was now filled with confidence and purpose, and Arnold couldn't have been prouder. One evening, as they shared dinner at a local diner, Arnold raised his glass in a toast. To Alex, he said, "For showing the world what true strength looks like." Alex blushed but raised his glass nonetheless. "And to you," he replied, "for believing in me when I didn't believe in myself." The bond between Alex and Arnold continued to grow, but their friendship was about more than just shared experiences. It was a partnership built on mutual respect and a shared commitment to making the world a better place. Together, they brainstormed new ways to promote inclusion and foster understanding, both in their community and beyond. One of their ideas was to create a mentorship program for LGBTQ+ youth, pairing them with allies who could offer guidance and support. The program, aptly named Bridge the Gap, launched with a small group of participants but quickly gained traction. Alex took on the role of program coordinator, using his own experiences to help shape the initiative. "I know what it feels like to face the world alone," he said during the program's kickoff event. "But I also know how much it means to have someone in your corner." That's what this program is about, making sure no one has to face life's challenges by themselves. Arnold, ever the supportive ally, served as one of the program's first mentors. His larger-than-life persona initially intimidated some of the participants, but his genuine kindness quickly put them at ease. For Arnold, the program was a way to give back, to pass on the lessons he had learned throughout his own journey. The mentorship program became a cornerstone of Alex and Arnold's efforts, but their work didn't stop there. They organized workshops, spoke at schools and community centers, and even collaborated with local businesses to promote inclusive hiring practices. Each step forward brought new challenges, but it also brought new opportunities to create change. Despite their busy schedules, Alex and Arnold made it a point to check in with each other regularly. Their conversations were often filled with laughter, but they also shared moments of reflection, discussing the impact of their work and the lessons they had learned along the way. One evening, as they sat on a park bench overlooking the city, Alex turned to Arnold with a thoughtful expression. "Do you ever get tired?" he asked. "Of always fighting for what's right?" Arnold smiled, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Of course," he admitted. "But the way I see it, the fight is worth it. Every person we help, every mind we change, that's what keeps me going." Alex nodded, his respect for Arnold deepening with each passing day. "I hope I can be as strong as you someday," he said. "You already are," Arnold replied, his voice filled with conviction. "Strength isn't about never getting tired, it's about never giving up." As the months turned into a year, the impact of Alex and Arnold's work became undeniable. The mentorship program expanded to other cities, the mall's inclusivity initiatives became a model for businesses across the country, and Alex found himself stepping into a role he never imagined, that of a leader. Through it all, Alex never forgot the moment that had started it all. The day he was thrown out of the mall, only to find an unexpected ally in Arnold Schwarzenegger. That moment of pain and humiliation had transformed into something beautiful, a journey of growth, connection, and empowerment. And though Alex's journey was far from over, he knew he wasn't alone. With Arnold by his side and a growing network of allies and supporters, Alex faced the future with hope and determination. Together, they had proven that even the smallest acts of courage could spark a movement. And in a world that often felt divided, they had built something truly extraordinary: a bridge. The year since Alex's life-changing encounter with Arnold Schwarzenegger had been nothing short of transformative. Alex, once unsure of his place in the world, now stood as a confident leader and advocate. He had become a symbol of resilience and empowerment, not just within the LGBTQ+ community but for anyone who had ever faced adversity. One of the most impactful milestones came during the first anniversary of the Bridge the Gap's mentorship program. Alex and Arnold organized a celebratory event to highlight the program's successes and honor the participants who had worked tirelessly to make it a success. The event was held in a large community hall, decorated with photos of mentors and ments, quotes about inclusion, and banners celebrating diversity. The room buzzed with energy as participants, supporters, and community members mingled and shared stories of the program's impact. Alex stood near the stage, reviewing his notes for his opening speech. He had grown accustomed to public speaking, but the significance of this event made him a bit nervous. Arnold approached him with his usual calm demeanor. "You ready?" Arnold asked, his tone encouraging. Alex smiled, his nerves easing slightly. "As ready as I'll ever be," he said. "This feels bigger than anything we've done before." "That's because it is," Arnold replied. "But don't forget, you've earned this moment. Go up there and show them why this program matters." When Alex took the stage, the room fell silent. He looked out at the crowd, his heart swelling with gratitude and pride. "Thank you all for being here," he began, his voice steady. "This program started as a small idea, a way to connect people, to build bridges where there were once walls. And today, it's grown into something I never could have imagined." He paused, his gaze sweeping over the audience. "But this program isn't just about me or Arnold, or even the incredible team that helped make it happen. It's about every single one of you. It's about the courage it takes to show up, to be vulnerable, and to choose empathy over judgment." The crowd erupted into applause, the energy in the room electric. Alex continued, sharing stories of the program's impact, like a young mentee who found the confidence to come out to their family, or a mentor who discovered a new sense of purpose through their involvement. By the time Alex finished his speech, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. He stepped off the stage to a standing ovation, his heart full of hope and determination. The event was a turning point for Alex and the mentorship program. Media coverage of the celebration brought even more attention to their work, and offers of support poured in from across the country. Alex found himself busier than ever, but he embraced the challenges with the same courage and tenacity that had brought him this far. Meanwhile, Arnold continued to be a guiding presence in Alex's life. Though his celebrity status often demanded his attention elsewhere, he never missed an opportunity to check in with Alex, offer advice, or attend important events. One evening, after a long day of meetings and planning, Alex and Arnold sat together on a park bench overlooking the city skyline. The quiet moment offered a rare chance for reflection. "You've come a long way," Arnold said, breaking the silence. "When I met you, you were ready to walk away from everything. And now, look at what you've built." Alex smiled, his thoughts drifting back to that fateful day at the mall. "I still can't believe how much has changed," he admitted. "It's like I'm living a completely different life." "That's because you chose to step up," Arnold said. "You didn't let that moment define you. You used it to create something bigger than yourself. That takes courage." As the months went on, Alex's work continued to expand. He began collaborating with national organizations, advocating for policies that promoted inclusivity and equality. He traveled to schools, businesses, and conferences, sharing his story and inspiring others to join the fight for change. Despite his growing responsibilities, Alex never lost sight of the people who had supported him along the way. He maintained close relationships with the mentors and ments in the Bridge the Gaps program, often attending their events and cheering them on in their individual journeys. One day, Alex received an email from Leo, the young trans man who had reached out to him months earlier. Leo had been one of the first ments in the program, and his progress had been remarkable. The email included a photo of Leo standing in front of a podium, addressing a crowd of students at his school. "Thanks to you, I found my voice," the email read. "I wanted you to know that I'm using it to make a difference, just like you taught me." Alex felt a lump rise in his throat as he read the words. Moments like this reminded him of why he had chosen to dedicate his life to this work. It wasn't about recognition or accolades. It was about creating a world where people like Leo could thrive. Arnold, ever the supportive mentor, was thrilled to see Alex's success. During one of their catch-up meetings, he shared an idea that had been on his mind. "Have you ever thought about writing a book?" Arnold asked, his tone casual. Alex blinked, caught off guard by the suggestion. "A book? I don't think I'm cut out for that." "Why not?" Arnold replied. "You've got a powerful story to tell, and people need to hear it. Think about all the lives you could reach." Alex considered the idea, his initial doubts giving way to curiosity. "I guess it could be a way to share everything I've learned," he said. "But where would I even start?" "With the truth," Arnold said simply. "Start with your story and the rest will follow." The idea of writing a book stayed with Alex, and over the next few months, he began to put pen to paper. The process was both cathartic and challenging, forcing him to revisit painful memories while also celebrating the growth and resilience that had come from them. By the time the manuscript was finished, Alex felt a deep sense of accomplishment. The book, titled Bridging the Divide: My Journey to Inclusion and Empowerment, was published to critical acclaim, further cementing Alex's place as a leader and advocate. Arnold couldn't have been prouder. During the book's launch event, he stood by Alex's side, beaming with pride as his friends signed copies and greeted readers. "You've done something incredible," Arnold said as the event wound down. "This book is going to change lives." Alex smiled, his gratitude shining through. "I couldn't have done it without you," he said. "You believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." Arnold shook his head. "You always had it in you," he said. "I just helped you see it." As the years went on, Alex's work continued to flourish. The Bridge the Gaps program expanded internationally, his book became a bestseller, and his advocacy efforts inspired countless individuals to join the fight for inclusion and respect. But through it all, Alex never forgot the moment that had set him on this path. The day he was thrown out of a mall only to find an unexpected ally in Arnold Schwarzenegger. That moment of pain and humiliation had transformed into a catalyst for change, a reminder that even the darkest experiences could lead to light. And as Alex stood on yet another stage, addressing a crowd of thousands at a global conference, he felt a profound sense of purpose. The fight for inclusion wasn't over, but he knew he wasn't alone. With allies like Arnold and a growing network of supporters, Alex faced the future with hope, determination, and the unshakable belief that change was always possible.